Rush 2, 3, 4. Put 'em up. 2, 3, 4. We're gonna learn how to paint.
Hey, welcome back and welcome to part 3 of my Dragons Don't Share Build and Paint. And today I have 2 of the red dragons to paint. And as you can see, this is the red dragon, it's in the box. And I'm going to put this together now. And I will come back once I have stuck the 2 dragons together. And we shall go through the process if we need to fill in any gaps, or do any trimming or removing of the mold lines. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. So I've stuck the dragons together. I used some super glue. I used this super glue, Loctite, and the liquid. I think it's a fantastic super glue, does the job. I've noticed there are a few gaps, as you can see. Let me get a pointy stick. How about a pair of tweezers? That'll do the job. An old pair of tweezers, pointy stick. Just along there, I'm going to have to fill that in, and along the gaps here and here. And you've all seen what I do with the putty. I use the Vallejo putty. It's a fantastic putty, comes with a nice nozzle, like so. And it's very, very simple. All you do is you go along your lines with the putty and squeeze it in. Let me get you in camera. There we go. Super simple. This stuff is amazing. I used to use the liquid green stuff from Games Workshop, but it used to harden in the pot. It was very difficult to apply because you had to put it onto a little stick, and I used it for years. And of course, now I found out about this one thanks to a good friend of mine, Renegade Shank. He sent me a few of these to test, and instantly the gaps are filled. What I do then is I go over the putty with one of these cotton buds. I just dip it in some water and just go over and smooth out the putty. Now I shall do that and come back once I've filled in all the gaps. So I've done all this now, the putty is all on, and it looks very nice. So the next stage is the painting. Now I'm going to prime both dragons red, and what I'm going to do is I'll probably give them 2 coats of red, dealer's choice on the red, dragon red, blood red, crimson. It could be anything. I'm not sure yet, but what I normally do is I'd go for a darker red. And the reason you go for a darker red as your first primer coat is because then you can add your ink washes, and then you can do your highlights using lighter reds. Because my idea on how to paint a dragon is we do the whole thing first with your primer. We'll work on the wings, on the arms of the wings. We won't touch these, we'll leave them red. But we'll get all the scales done, we'll get all the basic work done, we'll get all the ink wash on, and then we'll actually do the highlights. The last part of the miniature will be the actual wings, and the wings will be wet blended from cream to white, cream to white, cream to white. The rest will be red. Then we'll add a black ink wash, and then we'll do the dry brushing to bring out the scales. We'll put in the teeth, the eyes. It's a very, very simple miniature to paint, but the effects and the finished miniature should look quite good. Awesome good. For tabletop standard, I think it's quite good. Ooh. 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 Daenerys has got nothing. I am the father of dragons. Ooh. Ooh. Sorry, had to be done. The primer is now done. I've done 2 coats with MSP Fresh Blood. Now, I've primed everything ready. What I'm going to do now is take away one of the dragons, so we can work on... I'll still be working on both dragons, but I'll only show you the one that I'm working on because it gives me more room to show you. So I'll put you down there for now, little baby dragon. The next stage is both my dragons will get a wash with null oil, and this will be all over the scales and all the parts apart from the wings, and I'll come back once I've put on the wash. Now the wash will be the whole miniature, just these parts of the wings are left because that's going to be a wet blend, and the same on the back. So all the scales, you want to cover the whole miniature in your nun oil. It'll give instant shadows. I'll show you a little bit before we start. When you're using your nun oil, give it a good shake, because again, even though it's a fine liquid, the pigments go to the bottom, so give it a shake every time before you use it. Now Fenris Games, I'll put a link below the video. This is a bit mucky now, you can't really see it, but Fenris Games make these, and they are amazing. That's all I'll say. And what they are little pots made I can't say the word, specifically for your paints, for your ink washes, and it stops you tipping it over, because I'm sure a few of you have lost a few paints in the past, so this will keep it nice and it's not going anywhere. So let's get cracking with the ink wash. Right then, I am using a Citadel ink brush, and it's it's had quite a bit of use. It's it's manky, so we're gonna use this and get the job done. So we're just going over all the body parts. Once this dries, it will give you instant shading on all the parts of the scales. So we're going over. Wow, there we go. With ink washes, it's probably best you put paper down, because you can be really careful with the ink wash, but you'll find it will still you'll still have splashes everywhere, little black blobs. I can't actually see the keys on my keyboard anymore, because I used to paint above my keyboard, and now I can't tell where the dots are, because there's more ink dots from the black ink wash on the keyboard than there are. So you have to be careful, because all your clothes, all my clothes are covered in paint or ink wash. It doesn't take long to mess up quite a few things, and it's just by doing this, what's happening is parts of the paint are getting flicked off, and it soon builds up around the area. So, you know, if you're in your mother's house or your wife, make sure or your girlfriend, make sure you put a piece of paper down. I'm in my workshop, so I like the mess, but I know a few people, they'll get an ass kicking, so try and look after your work area. Make sure you're not using your mum's best table, a dining table. Make sure you get some paper down on there. So all we're doing, going to bring out all the shades for the scales. It's a very simple, quick job. Don't worry about the paint running onto the wings. We can remove excess with a tissue. All you're doing is making sure you cover all the scales with a good coating of black ink wash. Try to keep it all even. There we go. Like I say, the wings are going to be wet blended, so you just want to go to the end of the scales. With the wet blending technique, we can make a very nice shading pattern, which will give the effect of clear to dark, which will make the wings look more transparent, which is also a very nice effect for wings, and we'll get to that later. I will come back after I have put on the rest of the ink wash, otherwise we're going to be here a very long time and my videos are going to be longer and longer, and I don't want to bore you all too much. I try to keep my videos, I used to keep my videos to like 10 to 15 minutes, but lately they've been going up to like half an hour, and I don't like watching videos for more than 10-15 minutes, so if I don't like it, there's no way everybody else is going to like it, because it's boring. So I will finish my dragons and I will come back once this ink wash has dried and show you the results, and we'll move on to the next stage. The ink wash is all dried now, and as you can see, it's looking rather good. All the scales have now been highlighted with the black going into the crevices. I have done along here. As you can see, it looks just a mess at the minute, but we're going over this in white later so we can do our wet blending. So what we do now is we're going to dry brush all the scales. I am using Brilliant Red for my dry brush, and what we're going to do here, I am using the very large army painter brush, and I will use the red, take off the paint, and I'm going against the scales, so we're going up the scales like so. And it gives that lovely effect. So what we're doing, we're working against the scales, not going down, you're going up. Always go up. Same when you sandpaper wood, you go with the grain. There's a certain way of doing things, and this way you're getting the paint on the tips of the scales. So we're just working along the scales. quite not easy to keep this dragon in the camera. It's quite a large mini to paint in front of you all. We're getting there. That's good. This is a good plot to show you. So on the back here, I'm going straight up. There you go. Look at that. What we'll do is, this is the first dry brush, and once this is dried, we will do another dry brush. And what I'll do is I'll either use a lighter red, or I will mix some white in with the red, just to give the scales a little more highlight. There we are, and already it's looking better. The horns and the teeth, they'll all be painted with skeleton bone, and they'll be given a highlight with brown ink wash. Because we're doing all the dry brushing first, it means we're not going to have any mess on the dragon later on. So that's why we do the dry brushing now, because you're not going to flick any paint onto your paintwork at a later date. So this is the reason why I do this now. So I'll get all the dry brushing done, and then I can move on to the details of like the eyes, teeth, tongue, claws, talons, and then the last will be the wet blending of the wings. I will come back once I have finished my dry brushing, and we'll make a start on the next stage. I have prepped up my mini. I have painted the teeth with skeleton bone, the horns skeleton bone, claws skeleton bone. I have prepped up my wings ready for my wet blending, just using dragon white, and I will now do the wet blending. For the wet blending I am using graveyard bone, and I'm using dragon white, both MSP colours. I will be using a regiment brush from Army Painter, which is a good sized brush. And what I'll be doing is I will be using the graveyard first, going around the sides, and then I'll be adding white and moving down to the ends of the wing tips. So what I'll do is I'll show you one, if I can get it into a position. There we are. I'll try and do on this one. It's quite tricky because I'm trying to do it with a camera. So what I'm doing, I'm going straight into the graveyard bone, and I am going to place it on the corners there, straight down, just to about there, and the same the other side. I'm doing it quite thickly because I want to blend all the colours. There we go. That should be enough. Now I'm just going to add some white and a little bit of graveyard bone together, and I'm moving straight in to the colours. Again, a bit more white. Again, more white. Just mixing it in. Keeping the same direction with your paintbrush, going down. We're not going across or up and down, we're just going straight down all the time, adding more white as we go, so we're getting it lighter and lighter. straight into the white now to the tips. I don't know if this is showing well on the camera because we're using white. There we go. And that's about it. That's as simple as it gets. So what we've got there, I don't know if you can see, you're getting a gradient going down and it goes a lot whiter. Now in this light, you can see, yes, that's working well. I'll do it again on the next one. I'm going straight back in to the skeleton bone, starting at the top. So we're just getting the main shade. Let's get some paint on this brush, it's too overloaded. Start again. There we go. That's better. There we go. This is not easy when I'm trying to keep it in focus and with the camera too. But I am trying my best. Right, again, I'm going back into the white, mixing it in with some skeleton bone. And there, nice. And we're just adding white to the skeleton bone, and we're going down. More white. Yeah, that's nice. Mixing in more white. As we get closer to the ends of the wings, we're trying to get a lighter effect, and the middle of the wing should be the brightest point. So with the middle, we're going for bright white, and we're blending that in so you've got a nice shade. There we are. So as you can see, you've got the shade of the skeleton bone going around at the top, and that's how we do the wings. So I will finish these off and I'll come back and show you. Well, all the wet blending is now finished. I'm very happy with the wings. All that's left to do for this dragon now is we're going to use some brown ink wash on all the claws and the teeth. We're going to paint in the eyes, and we'll put some ink wash on the horns, and I'm going to call this about done. So with the eyes, I'm going to use a yellow ink wash over the eye, and then I will put a black line so it's like a cat's eye, and that'll give a lovely effect. I did a video before on how to paint dragon eyes, so take a look through my catalogue, back catalogue of videos, and you'll find how to paint dragon eyes. The teeth as well, they'll have a brown wash. And last but not least, what I do then is once everything's dry, the mouth will have a gloss varnish and the eye will have a gloss varnish. I'm very happy how this is turning out. The wings look great. So I will go and finish this up and show you the finished dragon. Here is the final dragon. I have finished the eyes, the teeth, and the claws, and I am calling this one done. And I have painted both the same. As you can see, I'll just bring this one up, and we have two dragons. So these are all done and ready. So next week I will be finishing off the Dragons Don't Share diorama, and I'll be painting all the minis that come with the diorama. The miniatures I will probably paint up and just give you a rough idea of how I painted them, as they are very small, and at the minute my camera setup isn't that good for super close up. But I'll try my best and see how we get on. I hope you like this video, and next week again will be the final part of this Dragons Don't Share build and paint, and it will be very exciting to show you the finished, completed diorama. So until next time.
Goodbye, my fellow ones. Sleep well. Dream of evil paintbrushes.